Hi, this is Ann with Fiber Designs by Ann, and I'm going to show you today how I overpainted this little pumpkin on one of my background fabrics. You can see the video, it's in the description, or it might show up here on the screen, how I did the background fabric and how it's called print paint fabric, background fabric, although it's not necessarily for a background. And after I embroidered my first pumpkins, I decided I was thinking purple pumpkins because I guess there is such a thing now. And then once I did the orange, I didn't like it, the purple so much behind it. It's actually periwinkle. So I decided I would paint over it. And I love that I still have this design happening. So I'm going to show you a little bit how I stitched, talk a little bit how I stitched, and then I'll show you how I painted the pumpkin. I have my pumpkin, and I already painted this. That's what I'm going to show you. But right now I'll just show you how I did the stitch with embroidery. I have floss. This is about 15 inches. And what I'm going to do, because I know there's a stem going in here, I'm going to just go ahead and start my needle here. Instead of tying a knot or holding it underneath, I'm just going to take a couple stitches here. And then later when I do the stem, I can either stitch over them, not with a stem stitch, but stitch over them, excuse me, or I can cut them off. So this is just for a little demonstration. I'm going to start over here. I'm on my embroidery stand that I made from an old lamp. And it's a weird thing, but it's so great for using. I just love it. I can sit on it. Right now I have it on the table, of course, under my camera. It does squeak, so if you're hearing squeaking, that's what it is. So I'm doing a stem stitch, and this is a little challenging because I'm trying to hold it have it aimed for the camera, so I can't see it really well, but it'll be just fine. So I just take a little stitch and then go a distance away, hold my thread up, and come back right where the other stitch ended. About, and then just kind of pull it along that line. And I have 2 strands of thread, of floss I should say. And I would just continue on. I did this little grass over here, and that was really fun and easy. And that's just a simple single strand up and down. And also for my stem and my viney areas, I also just did single thread and just filled it in. When I got to this area, just kind of any old stitch I wanted to do just to give it a little more definition. So next I'll show you how I painted the pumpkin. When I paint the pumpkin, I have it in a embroidery hoop to stretch it and to keep it from setting on the surface. You could probably do this on a surface and it'd be just fine. I just had it in the hoop, so that's what I did. I have a round brush, and I'm just going to use the lid to my paint for now because it should be a pretty quick project. I have a little container that I can rest my brush in, and also I'm going to moisten my brush to begin with. I don't, if I get and the fabric's dry, if I get the fabric wet, the paint will bloom, will spread, and I'm not prepared to do that right now. I am going to put other pumpkins along the side here, but I don't want that to go, the orange to go off at this point. So I'll get my brush wet, and then that's just, in fact, I maybe get another container here. That's just so that I can make my paint a little movable, but not so that it'll totally bleed or bloom on the fabric. And I'm going to start in the beginning also for that very reason, because I'm not sure what it's going to do. The idea is that a wash is what I would like, because I'd like these other texture designs to show through, but if I do too much of a wash, I'm afraid it'll just go crazy. So I'm gonna just go out of the line. So I'm gonna just start here, and I'm going to try not to touch my embroidery floss if I can avoid it. It's orange, so it's okay if I do. And as I've said 100 times, the fabric is dry. Once the paint hits it, it's not going to go too far. I'm really tempted to get it wet, but I don't want to do that. I will get my brush wet again into my little paint. I just didn't really want it to be heavy. I can see my purple, or my periwinkle, is still showing through, so that's good. I like that. And this pumpkin's out in the field or out in the woods. It's not going to be one of those pristine, beautiful pumpkins that doesn't have any blemishes or rough marks on it. So I'm okay with that so far. It's washing enough that it's showing the colors from the under layer. And I'm going to be sure and curve it, because since it's not going to be moving, I'm not going to put water on there other than through my brush and through the paint. Whatever direction I go, that's going to show, probably. We'll see. Right now that was pretty wet, so this may bleed over. It was pretty generous with my water on that one. So I'll just continue on and let you watch and put some music on. Now that I've done this, I'm thinking about putting a little bit of maybe white. That I grabbed an acrylic, but I'm going to grab my Jacquard textile color. So I'm going to set my brush in here for a minute, and I'm going to keep that brush in water orangish because I may want to color the white just a teeny bit so it's not pure white. I haven't decided. I'm going to just put the tiniest bit. Well, it's not the tiniest bit. Let me get rid of some of that. The littlest bit on here. I just have it on a stick. I'm trying not to color my fabric more than it's already colored. And I don't know if this is a good idea, but, you know, might as well just give it a try while we're at this. It's made a very peachy color. It would help to have a real pumpkin to look at, but I'm going to just probably end up using my fingers, knowing me, because that's still pretty wet. It probably won't be on the bottom part. It would probably be more up on the top, right? Very juicy, so that really, the fabric just really drank that up, even though it's pretty saturated. And this is just a painted fabric piece, so it doesn't need to look realistic. Oh, I actually like that. Added a little bit to it. And I can still see the colors underneath. So I'm pretty pleased with that. Gotta know when to stop. Now I colored my floss a little, but I rub that out. Pretty happy with this little project I gave a try. Well, if you like this idea, I hope maybe in some of your projects you'll give it a try, do some thread work and then paint it instead of painting it and then doing the thread work, which is a fine way to do it as well. And I have more about how I did these background fabrics. I hope you'll look for those videos, and there's more about them on my blog as well. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't, I hope you'll subscribe, tap the bell so you can get notification for new videos. This has been Anne. Thanks a lot for watching.